I'll add you to the meeting.
Let me try.
Share chat. This time, Maharaj, we are not seeing language interpretation. Sudama Prabhu,
Yeah.
I do not see language interpretation option for Maharaj, although I'm seeing for my phone. So we can do is we can switch the audio to my phone. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll mute the Maharaj's ID. Instead, Mayapur Institute Indonesia, you can set it to Mayapur Institute Indonesia, the translation. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm just unmuting my phone and
I can switch to that computer if you want.
but it may take some time. We may lose some time.
Okay.
So it's fine. We'll keep the same. But just your voice will go fine. Okay, that's maybe.
Okay, so. All right, so I wanted to just review the questions which are there for the closed book because we have to have an exam when we finish this course from in the morning. If Maharaj oh, you did a review?
Maharaj, we can barely hear you.
You could barely hear me?
Yeah, we can barely hear you.
Let me see, where's the volume? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Can everyone hear me?
Hare Krishna, I can hear you clearly now.
Now,
Abhijit
can you
Prabhu.
hear me, Maharaj and Maharaj?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me now? Hare Krishna.
Oh yeah, now it's better, Maharaj.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Hmm? Here. Here.
Now should be better.
Hare Krishna, is it all right? Everything clear?
Yes, much better, Maharaj.
Yes?
Yes, Maharaj.
Sudama?
Yes.
Notice.
Yes, Maharaj. It's far better now.
Also turn it on. The speaker on my. Yes, Maharaj. Now you can.
Hare Krishna, is it all right? You can hear everything?
Yes, Maharaj.
All right. So I just wanted to check up how much you're taking in. So we covered text number 5, and we heard about the different ways of dealing with a devotee. So how should one deal with the devotee, Kanishta Adhikari, who chants the holy name? How are you going to relate to him? Oh my goodness. What is it? The host has spotlighted you.
Yes, that is.
Unmute.
Don't unmute yourself. Prabhuji, Sudama Prabhu, don't. I see he's only spotlighting your video, so that is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, the voice is coming from here.
So how do you relate to a Kanishta Adhikari who chants the holy name? Again, we've got this thing coming up. Can I just put later?
Yes, later is fine. Later is fine.
Adiraj Prabhu, can you tell me?
You are muted, Prabhu. He's muted. Maharaj is muted. So we have to ask. So Dama Prabhu, is everything the sound fine? You are muted,
Prabhuji.
Sudama Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, perfect. Maharaj, it is fine. Let me increase the volume.
Adiraj.
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Okay, how do you relate to a Kanishta Adhikari who chants the holy name?
If we pay respects to him because he's chanting the holy name, Maharaj,
How are you going to pay respects?
we offer obeisances to him.
Well, that's not what it says in the Nectar of Instruction. You don't know the verse? Verse number 5. A devotee who chants the holy name, Kanishta Adhikari, we respect him in the mind.
In the mind. Okay, Maharaj.
We respect him in the mind, right?
Yes.
And then someone's engaged in worshipping the deity, then you offer obeisances to them.
Okay. If he's worshipping the deity and initiated, then we offer obeisances to him.
Well, if he's worshipping the deity, he should be initiated. He
Yes,
should be twice initiated, spiritually initiated. Otherwise, he's not qualified really to worship the deity, right?
Yes.
And what about the 4 characteristics of a Madhyama Adhikari?
The 4 characteristics is that he worships the Lord as an object of love, and
Yeah.
he identifies with the different devotees and respects them as such.
He
And
makes friends with them.
he makes friends with the devotees, and he avoids the ignorant or the envious persons, and he preaches Krishna consciousness
To who?
to those who are favorable, to those who...
Yeah, to those who are ignorant, but who are willing to hear.
And he avoids the envious ignorant persons.
Okay. All right. So we'll ask somebody else. We want to know what are 3 symptoms of an Uttama Adhikari? Maybe you know, Adiraj, you know 3 symptoms of an Uttama Adhikari?
One symptom is that he sees Krishna within the heart of every living entity.
Okay.
That's one symptom.
Yeah.
Another symptom is not sure, Maharaj. Is it that he wants to preach Krishna consciousness?
He may. He should have a strong desire to give Krishna consciousness everywhere. We'll ask Archana Bhakti Radha Mataji.
Hare
Archana
Krishna
Bhakti,
Maharaj.
can you
Hare
tell
Krishna
us
Maharaj.
some-
Pranam Maharaj.
Can you give me some symptoms of an Uttama Adhikari?
Yeah, like Prabhuji said, just give me a moment, Maharaj, just a minute.
No, don't look at the book. You should know.
Yes, Maharaj. Like he said that an Uttam Adhikari, his faith is very, very strong and he can convince others. And his knowledge is very, very good, is very strong that, he can offer arguments which are against devotional service. and he sees the presence of the Lord in every being.
I hope he won't offer arguments against devotional service.
Not against devotional service, for devotional service, and certain arguments which are set against devotional service, that he will answer and hence convince others.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and since he sees Lord Krishna in everybody, he feels that everybody is fit and everybody should be given a chance to perform devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So he feels everybody is fit.
So he's always thinking about trying to spread Krishna consciousness.
Yes, he's trying to spread Krishna consciousness to all.
Okay. Maybe Jita Krodha Prabhu. Jita Krodha, can you tell us another symptom about Uttama Adhikari? No, not ready. Eh? What about Shyamasara? Shyamasara Jini Mataji. Who's got raised hands? Yeah. All right, Gita Induleka Mataji, you tell us, what are some symptoms of the Uttama Adhikari?
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam Maharaj. He's a very highly advanced devotee, and his heart is completely clean, and he is not interested in blasphemy of blaspheming others, and his knowledge is very perfect and convince others. His faith is also strong and unflinching, and he's always thinking of to spread Krishna consciousness, the holy name, and always thinking of Krishna.
Does he chant the holy name?
Yes, Maharaj, he stands the holy name. He's initiated and he stands the holy name.
How much does he
Attached.
chant?
He is attached to the holy name. Uttamadhikari is attached to the holy name.
Yeah, he's constantly chanting the holy name, right?
Yes,
okay, so I think we covered that one. Thank you. Okay, we've got then text number 6. They ask, what is the meaning of Nityananda Vamsha? Who would know the meaning? Shamasari Jini Mataji, do you know? What's a Nityananda Vamsha?
I'm sorry, maybe I don't know.
You don't know? Jita Krodha Mataji, Jita Krodha Prabhu, do you know? Who are the Nityananda Vamshas? Jita Krodha? You don't know. Premadana.
Yes, Maharaj. The descendants of Nityananda Prabhu, or who was born in Nityananda Prabhu's family.
Yeah, they may have been just simply from the village of Nityananda. They were just some associates or even servants in the family, and they claim they're Nityananda Vamshas. So these kind of people, they claim they have a direct connection to Lord Nityananda by birth.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And what else do they claim then? They claim they're the representative of Lord Nityananda. They claim they're the authorized acharyas because they represent Lord Nityananda, because they're coming in the line from Lord Nityananda.
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yes, and also they claim that they are Nityananda Vamsa Goswami Maharaj.
They claim what?
As a Goswami from Nityananda Vamsa, and criticizing just like our ISKCON Goswami, like that. They said American Goswami, something like that.
Well, I don't think that applies to the Nityananda Vamsas. I'm not sure about that.
Yes, okay.
It may be the caste Goswamis in Vrindavan. They may say it like that. Okay,
okay.
then the other question is, The spiritual master must not be subjected to advice from whom? Who should not give advice to the spiritual master?
Still, I can answer, Maharaj.
Yes.
The spiritual master should not take advice from his disciple, Maharaj.
Right.
Yes.
Not the business of the disciple to give advice
Yes.
to the spiritual master. Or people on a lower position, less advanced, they shouldn't try to advance the person. They shouldn't try to advise the person who is more advanced.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj. Dandawat.
Okay, we'll go ahead. We're going to look at, let's see, number. All right, so going on to the next lesson, lesson number 5. We can see here. Are you all seeing it? Yeah? Right, we covered these things. 3 ways to associate with the 3 categories of devotees. Jita Kroda, do you know the 3 categories of devotees? No? Shankara Das, Prabhu, what are the 3 categories of devotees?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. 3 kategori penyembah. 1 Kadisna Adhikari, 2 Madhikari dan Utamadhikari.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
We spoke about the importance within ISKCON of maintaining appropriate attitude about the external feature of devotees, right? We don't put a devotee down. You know, Hanuman is a monkey, Garuda is a bird, Gajendra is an elephant, but they're great devotees. And so the same way, someone may be low-born, they may be diseased, they may be handicapped, but they can be a great devotee. Appropriate ways of seeing and relating to an empowered Vaishnava. How should we see an empowered Vaishnava? Shankara Prabhu. Shankara Das. Shankara.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah. How do we see an empowered Vaishnava? How to see him?
Kita hendaknya tidak melihat dari fisik beliau. Kita harus berpikir sepenuhnya bahwa beliau adalah penyembah murni yang dikuasai oleh Sri Krishna.
Do we get translation or not? I don't hear anything.
Seperti halnya kita melihat Sungai Gangga yang terlihat gelembung-gelembung, tapi sebenarnya Sungai Gangga tetaplah suci.
Prabhuji, can you please repeat the translation again?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu Krishna.
No, this does not apply to the empowered devotee. Empowered devotee, we should see them as a representative of Krishna. You understand? When you see the empowered Vaishnava, you should understand he is the representative of Krishna. And we should relate to them by offering service and by inquiring from them and being eager to hear from them. Is it clear? Okay, thank you.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, going ahead. Here's a quote from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. As a Kanista Adhikari gradually comes to perceive the mental activities of a devotee and tries seriously to advance to a higher stage, his materialistic conception will go away of their own accord. Right? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada is saying Kanista will advance as he gradually sees the devotees in the correct manner. So what does it mean to advance? We were talking, I think we covered this yesterday actually. We spoke about what it means to advance. Devotee is considered superlative or superior according to his attachment and love. What makes it, we were discussing before, the Kanista and the Madhyam and the Uttama. What were they based on? What was the difference? How were they classified? According to what? Which particular qualities or characteristics did they have? Which made them Kanista or Madhyam or Uttama? Gita Indulekha Maharaji, you can tell me?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Maharaj, on the basis of faith, knowledge, and chanting.
Okay, very good. On the basis of the faith, knowledge of the scriptures.
Yes, and
yes, and also maybe chanting.
Yes.
Yeah, we spoke about different levels of chanting.
Yes,
so now we're going to speak about Diksha, the process of Diksha, process by which a devotee becomes attached to Krishna is described in Antya Lila. At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the Lord's service, Krishna accepts him to be as good as himself. So its initiation is not just only the time, the one thing, the one time when you sit in the fire yagya. Initiation is an ongoing process. Receiving knowledge and being trained by the spiritual teacher. It's not just a 1 hour thing. It's an ongoing process, the process of initiation. So it takes some time for us to come to this position. It won't be immediate. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment, becomes interested in spiritual life. And we spoke about this yesterday. Remember, we spoke about the process of in ISKCON of initiation. Because ideally, when we take initiation, we want to take initiation from a Mahabhagavat, from an Uttama Adhikari. So, Diksha is taking initiation. It's like the beginning. Initiation means the beginning. It's not the goal. It's not, some people think because I'm initiated, I'll go back to Godhead. I'm already back to Godhead. Now I'm initiated. It's not like that. Initiation is the beginning of our spiritual life. We have to go on, right? We have to come up. We have to We have to get rid of all the anarthas and overcome the offenses and come to the stage of Baba. So Diksha is complete when we come to Baba. So there, we described also the three important parts of the process of initiation: taking shelter of the feet of a guru, receiving teachings after initiation, and serving the guru are the principal angas or limbs of bhakti, which take us into the door, take us in the door for entering bhakti. Right? So it's not that we're already bhaktas, it's not that we're already devotees. We're trying to become devotees. We're on the path. So this is the process. Approach the spiritual master. Here, we have to accept the pure devotee, the representative, as our guru, and offer all respects. One would offer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the secret of success. For one who adopts this method, the perfect process is revealed. By offering service and surrendering to the spiritual master, one is elevated to devotional service. And by performing devotional service, one gradually becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of this attachment to the Lord, one can understand the Lord. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 7th chapter, 29th verse, purport. Okay, so then coming back to text number 5, which we covered yesterday, but because it's a very important point, we'll go over it again. It says, one should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well towards the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master. Right? So this is Prabhupada's purport there. We should be very careful about who we accept initiation from. Of course, before we take initiation, there should be a testing period. The disciple should test the guru should test the disciple. Like that. So how do we apply this within ISKCON? We will ask some devotees, how do we apply this principle of initiation? Yes? Who would like to answer? The question is, how do we apply this point? Prabhupada is making the point that Uttama Adhikari should be the spiritual master. So how do we apply this in ISKCON? Valmiki? Valmiki Prabhu.
Yes, Maharaj, Hare Krishna. According my humble knowledge, it is that he surrenders to one of spiritual masters in our parampara, which is who are connected to Srila Prabhupada, like disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and Sadhu Shastra Guru, that they must preach these spiritual masters. They must preach exactly what Srila Prabhupada wants from us, you know, and we are they are teaching also what is in the Srila Prabhupada books and like that. This is my understanding. I'm not sure, you know.
Okay. Anybody else like to respond to this? Yes? Well, she answered yesterday on this. Right? Advaita Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Yang saya ingat dari pelajaran IDC dulu bahwa ketika kita ingin mengetahui bahwa seorang calon guru kita itu adalah utama adhikari, bahwa kita dapat menanyakan tentang apa yang menjadi keraguan-raguan kita. Apabila calon guru tersebut dapat menjawab semua pertanyaan dan kita puas akan pertanyaan tersebut, maka kita bisa menganggap bahwa beliau adalah guru kita yang sejati, seperti itu.
Oh. I don't know how you learned that in the disciple course. Someone else. Look. Dina Vatsal? Dina Vatsal Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Prabu, boleh di gini ya, diterangkan lagi ya, ininya apa pertanyaannya? Ribon.
Okay, this is taking too long.
Kurang jelas, tidak mendengar, Bu. Mati tadi. Kita nyampe gininya. Boleh diulangi?
I'm sorry, this is taking too long. We have to hear from somebody else. Ramesh Prabhu. Ramesh.
Yes, Maharaj.
Can you answer this? How do we apply this principle of about having an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master in ISKCON?
They are connected to the Guru Parampara, Maharaj. And spiritual master also represent a Parampara. That's what I recall, Maharaj.
I mean, that's okay, but it's just, you didn't say very much. You know, you just say, well, parampara.
Prabhupada's books are the basis of our Krishna conscious movement.
Prabhupada's books are the basis.
Yes.
Okay.
Maharaj. And we also offer Guru Puja, and we also take part in it.
Okay. So what's our relationship with Prabhupada?
He is our spiritual master, Maharaj. He's an Uttama Adhikari.
Huh? He's your spiritual master, is he?
I mean, he's the spiritual master for all of us in ISKCON, Maharaj.
What kind of spiritual master? Be clear. Is he giving you initiation?
No, Maharaj.
So what kind of spiritual master is he?
I couldn't recall now.
Huh?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Ya, saya menjawab, Prabu. Ya, Prabhupada adalah siksa guru untuk semua penyembah yang apa namanya yang ikut join dalam ISKCON ini. Itu buku Prabhupada adalah basic utama.
Yes,
dan
thank you.
Prabhupada adalah utama adhikari.
Yes.
Dan semua beliau adalah perwakilan parampara.
Right. Okay, very good. All right, so this connects us.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Srila Prabhupada is our founder Acharya. If you wants to hear this, he's founder Acharya, and everything what we are doing is according his how to say guidance.
Okay. All right, thank you, Prabhu. Let's go ahead here. Please look at the slides we're showing here now. The last lesson we discussed eligibility or qualification for pure devotion, and then the levels of advancement amongst devotees. Both classifications are divided into three, and these three divisions are Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama. Although technically these two classifications speak about different things, Srila Prabhupada, with the exception of the following purport, equates the two in his teaching, right? So Srila Prabhupada describes here, a devotee is considered superlative or superior according to his attachment and love. You see, we're talking about something a little different here now, attachment and love. Before we were speaking about faith and knowledge of scriptures. Now we're speaking about attachment and love. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has stated that if one has developed faith in Krishna consciousness, he is to be considered an eligible candidate for further advancement in Krishna consciousness. Those who have faith are divided into three, right? Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttama. The standard of devotion is also categorized in the same way. A neophyte devotee believes that only love of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is very good, but he may not know the basis of pure Krishna consciousness or how one can become a perfect devotee, right? Because he's a neophyte devotee, so he doesn't know so much. Sometimes in the heart of a neophyte, there is attraction for karma, jnana, or yoga. When he is free and transcendental to mixed devotional activity, he becomes a second-class devotee, a madhyamadika, right? When he's free from these other things. The devotees are described as positive, comparative, and superlative in terms of their love and attachment for Krishna. So love and attachment for Krishna is a little different from what we've been speaking about. We were speaking about, about Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama in terms of their faith and in terms of their knowledge of scripture. But now we're speaking about their love and attachment for Krishna. It's a different thing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Bhakti Tattva Viveka, specifies Uttama Adhikari as the requirement for a Madhyama Bhakta to attain the stage of taste and attachment, as summarized in the following table. Right? So he specifies Uttama Adhikari as the requirement for a Madhyama Bhakta. Madhyama Bhakta, we're talking about the devotion. Uttama Adhikari was talking about the faith and knowledge. So here's the table. You can see the table. Different stages on the left side, the devotional stage, beginning with faith and then association, right? Shraddha, sadhu sangha, unsteady devotion, bhajana kriya, anartha nivriti, purifying the bad habits, steady devotion, nishtha, taste, ruchi, attachment, asakti, ecstasy, bhava, and love, prema. And you can see the qualifications for these different levels. Right? Kanista, up to purifying the bad habits. And then steady devotion, the madhyama. And then after that, its qualification is uttama. But for advancement, it's kanista, and then madhyam, and then uttama. So qualification is there, but the advancement is a little different. To make advancement, you have to wait till you're up to the uttama to come to the highest level. But the uttama can be there with qualification at taste. Okay? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, to achieve loving devotion, one must have the highest qualification by faith and knowledge. But one who has attained this highest qualification, Uttama Adhikari, has not necessarily attained the highest stage of love and attachment for Krishna, Mahabhagavat. Thus, an Uttama Adhikari may still be a conditioned soul at the stage of taste or attachment. That's surprising to people to hear this. If you have children there around you, if you have children there, please put off your microphone.
So Dhamma Prabhu, can you please mute anyone who is not, they are not speaking? Thank you, Prabhu.
So Uttama Adhikari may be a conditioned soul. He may be Uttama Adhikari in terms of faith and knowledge, but he doesn't have the taste or attachment. He hasn't developed the real love for Krishna. So we want you to understand the distinction there. So someone may be Uttama Adhikari, he has strong faith and he has knowledge of scriptures, so he's very fixed in devotional service, but he just hasn't developed the real love for Krishna. In other words, Uttama Adhikari is not automatically an Uttama Bhakta. He may simply be an advanced Madhyama Bhakta. Right? He's Uttama Adhikari in faith and knowledge, but not in devotion. In devotion, he may just be at the level of Madhyam. We give an example. A person must have excellent business sense to become a millionaire. But just because a person has business sense doesn't make him a millionaire. Some people, they're very good in business. They know how to do business properly, but doesn't mean they make a lot of money. Some people may be very good. They know how to run the business, but they're not very rich. They just don't make money. So it can be like that. The same way, somebody knows everything about bhakti, about devotional service. He knows everything. He knows the whole science, but he may not have love of Krishna. Love of Krishna is a very rare thing. It's not easy to get love of Krishna. Krishna doesn't give that very easily. You have to be very special devotee. Where do you get that love of Krishna? Krishna doesn't give it because he becomes controlled. He's very much attached to those pure love, those people who have pure loving devotion. So it's difficult to get pure loving devotion, very rarely achieved. So we have to understand these distinctions here. So simply accepting an Uttama Adhikari as a guru is good, but it doesn't mean he's got love of God. Doesn't mean he has to know, doesn't mean he knows his rasa with Krishna, doesn't mean, you know, he can be a guru. That's not the qualification for the guru. Qualification of the guru is that he's very loyal to his guru, and he's connecting us to the disciplic succession, right? And he's teaching according to his guru. That's very important. We explain a bit more. An Uttama Adhikari may be either a conditioned soul at the stage of taste or attachment, or a fully liberated soul at the stage of ecstasy in love. In either case, Uttama Adhikaris are ideally situated, ideally suited to be spiritual masters because they have the highest qualification in terms of faith and knowledge. Thus, they cannot be deviated by the arguments of non-devotees, nor barring. Yes? Well, I thought you
Cannot
were
hear
doing
you,
that.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
I thought you're supposed to be doing that all the time. I didn't think I have to wait for you to translate the slides. I thought you're supposed to be doing that as we go on. Okay, so what do you want me to do? Go back to the previous slide? Okay, so we'll take some questions, give you a chance to translate.
Someone is asking, I want to understand what is the difference between Uttam Adhikari and Uttam Bhakta, but that is what
I've been talking here.
I think he asked that a while back.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that the question? Isn't that description of someone on Uttam Bhakta? Sorry, this question is not clear. Like, one you already answered. Another one.
Yeah. Okay, very good, Prabhu. Thank you. Okay. So we were explaining, you know, it's a little new, a little different. We haven't heard this much before. You haven't heard it before, but we have the Uttama Adhikari and the Uttama Bhakta. The Uttama Adhikari is there in terms of faith and knowledge. And the Uttama Bhakta is there in terms of love and attachment to Krishna. So a subtle distinction there. Just because you have faith and knowledge doesn't mean that you have pure love for Krishna. Doesn't mean you're on the highest level of love of Krishna. So that's an important, this is the point which has been made here, that we have to cultivate also our love for Krishna. The goal of life is to develop love of God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, Prem Punarto Mahan. The goal of life is to develop Krishna Prem. Now, that is different from knowing the scriptures and having faith. We said faith is Shraddha. Shraddha, that simply by serving Krishna we can do everything. That's not love. It's a different thing, right? So we want to understand the process of Diksha is to develop this love of God also, as well as faith and knowledge. We also want to develop love. So we make the point here that somebody has faith and knowledge, it's good. They're not going to be deviated by non-devotees, and it will be very unusual if they fall down, because they're so fixed up in faith and knowledge, right? And we see that if somebody's really strong faith and good knowledge, they won't go away from Krishna consciousness. Uttama Adhikari Vaishnavas. How to recognize them? They can be recognized by their ability to convert many fallen souls to Krishna consciousness, the primary duty of a spiritual master, right? How to recognize an empowered devotee? That he will bring many people to Krishna consciousness. Just look at Narada Muni. Look at the people Narada Muni brought to Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Magrari the hunter, Puranjana, so many different people. They all became devotees by the mercy of Narada Muni. And so this is the business of a spiritual master, to convert fallen souls to Krishna consciousness, to convince them of the urgency and the great need of Krishna consciousness. Is it clear?
Yes, Maharaj. And can I ask one question?
Okay.
Thank you. I would like to ask you if you can kindly tell us about how to develop our love and attachment for Krishna. Thank you very much.
Yes. Well, we need the mercy of Krishna. Just like, how did Mother Yashoda bind up Krishna? How could she bind up Krishna? Mother Yashoda, she got all the ropes and still it wasn't enough. She got so many ropes, she couldn't tie up Krishna. And finally, Krishna agreed to let Mother Yashoda tie him up. So it's like that. You want to develop love of Krishna, you have to have greed. You have to have the very strong desire to achieve love for Krishna. Just like when you can cry for Krishna, then you will be coming near to getting that. When you really want it badly, you have to have that very strong, intense desire to get love of Krishna. That is the qualification to develop love for Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Right? This is called loyam. The greed. Just like when we're children, we want something, we want it, we'll cry to get it. So we have to be willing to shed tears to get love of Krishna. Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say he wanted to open a school for crying, to educate people in the art of crying for Krishna. Because that is the goal, to develop our love, that we want that Krishna so badly that we will cry, that we're crying, our heart is crying to get Krishna. So this is the mood of the great devotees. This is why they cultivate this, this raga bhakti. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I will remember this.
Okay.
Maharaj, just a quick note. Maybe you can address this in the end. There's actually quite a few questions on the chat box. Later on, maybe when you are done with the class, we can address them.
Oh, really? Abhijit Prabhu tells me there are 2 questions. We looked at them. One question didn't make sense, right? Yes. And the other question we'd already answered. Oh, now there are 2 more. Okay. All right. So we'll remember that. We'll make a note. So a devotee must understand that the Adi Guru, the original spiritual master of the Sampradaya, in other words, Srila Prabhupada, is the Shiksha Guru, and only his teachings are to be accepted, and not those of any other scholar or teacher. And only a saintly devotee who has understood the teachings of the Shiksha Guru is eligible to be a Diksha Guru for others. All right? So we encourage like that within ISKCON. You want to be a guru, you have to take these courses like Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. You come and study the scriptures and know the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And then you can go on and become guru. Right? The good students, they become the teachers. That's the process. So this is important to remember, that how we're faithful and chaste to follow the founder Acharya. The following statement be accepted as ISKCON statement about the founder Acharya, right? How to understand the founder Acharya. To fulfill the previous Acharya's desire for a united worldwide preaching organization, to expand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, Srila Prabhupada founded ISKCON as a distinct branch of Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Therefore, he is founder Acharya of ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada is the foundational Shiksha Guru for all ISKCON devotees, because he has realized and presented the teachings of the previous Acharyas of the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, appropriate for the modern age. Srila Prabhupada's instructions are the essential teaching for every ISKCON devotee. Oh, sorry. Have our translators, I'll give the translator more time. Okay. So these are important points about how we should understand Srila Prabhupada, and why when we in ISKCON, when we give initiation, the function of the initiation is to connect us closely to Srila Prabhupada. And everyone can have a relationship with Srila Prabhupada. It's not that you have to have seen him. You know, Prabhupada is no longer manifest, he's no longer prakat, he's aprakat. But the opportunity is still there for everyone, because Prabhupada lives by his books. So you read his books, you study his books. I was hearing a quote that somebody asked Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, how can we know you better? He said, you read Krishna, you read that book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can know me from that book. Just that one book, Krishna. You can read that book. You all read that book? Very wonderful book, very important book. We can know Srila Prabhupada from that book. And from Srimad Bhagavatam, we can know Krishna, the spiritual master reveals Krishna through the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're so fortunate. We are also fortunate. We have a relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Not only members of ISKCON, even people outside of ISKCON had relationships with Prabhupada. There were examples. People, somebody went to the New Vrindavan temple, they were not even a devotee, and somehow they had a dream about Prabhupada, and they brought Prabhupada's slippers, and I can't remember all the details. And there was another lady in the airlines, she got prasad from Prabhupada. Prabhupada was on her flight, and she took some of Prabhupada's prasadam. So Srila Prabhupada's books are the embodiment of his teachings and should be accepted as the standard by all future generations of ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada is worshipped daily at every ISKCON center by ISKCON members. Every ISKCON spiritual master is responsible to guide his disciples to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Right? We don't say, I'm your guru, you listen to me. No, we follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. What did Prabhupada say? As founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada gives directions for management, principles of cooperation, and other practical guidelines, which form the basis and inspiration for ISKCON policies. And Srila Prabhupada established the GBC to execute his will, following the order of the previous acharyas. So all of these points are there to help to remind us the central position in the society of Srila Prabhupada and how we all have a relationship with him. So quoted in the Nectar of Instruction, text number 5, one should not accept a spiritual master without following his instructions. So you have to know his instructions. How can you know Prabhupada's instructions? Read his books. Read his books carefully.
Sorry, Maharaj, advance the slide.
Yeah. So very important for us to be reading Prabhupada's books, and a nice way to read Prabhupada's books is to study them as we're doing. It really helps us to read them deeply and to really try to absorb and understand what Prabhupada is saying. So Prabhupada is describing the importance of following instructions here. There's a quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 1, text number 6. As one advances in devotional activities, the process becomes progressively clearer and more encouraging. Unless one gets this spiritual encouragement by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it is not possible to make advancement. Right? We follow the instruction and we feel, wow, this is working, this is good, it makes sense. Prabhupada said we should do this, we did it, and it was really good, a good result. And so this way we become encouraged, we want to follow the instructions more. Therefore, one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is a test of one's devotional service. We develop a taste for chanting, develop a taste to wake up earlier in the morning. We develop a taste for prasadam. A taste for seeing the deities. Very important. Initially, one must develop confidence by hearing the science of devotion from a qualified guru. Then, as he associates with devotees, tries to adopt the means instructed by the guru in his own life, his misgivings and other obstacles are vanquished by his execution of devotional service. So this is the process. You follow the instruction, you become convinced. You see it makes sense, it works. And here's the important, very important verse. The one regulative principle over all regulative principles. Right? We just have one regulative principle, not four. This is the one, the most essential order. Smartavyam satatam vishnor vishmatavya najatukrit sarve vidi nisheda shor etayor eva kinkara. Always remember Krishna. Never forget him at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastra should be the servants of these two principles. Right? This is the most important thing, to remember Krishna. From the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada writes, there are many regulative principles in the Shastra and in directions given by the Guru. These regulative principles should act as servants of the basic principle. The basic principle is that one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. And then Prabhupada adds, this chanting of 16 rounds is absolutely necessary if one wants to remember Krishna and not forget him. Of all the regulative principles, spiritual masters order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. Right? Very important. Chant 16 rounds. From text number 5, purport, everyone begins his devotional life from the neophyte stage, right? From the beginning, we're all Kanista Adhikaris. We begin from the Kanista platform. Gita Indulekha was a Kanista Adhikari in the beginning, right? Yeah? And so was I. And even Prabhupada, you could say, maybe when Prabhupada came, in the beginning, he was also Kanista. But if one properly finishes chanting prescribed number of rounds of Harinam, then he is elevated to the highest platform, Uttama Adhikari. Takes some time, just have to practice, keep chanting. When one fully engages in chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he gradually realizes his own spiritual identity. Unless one faithfully chants Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna does not reveal himself. Right? You want to understand, you want to know our spiritual identity, you want to know who we are in the spiritual world, you have to chant 16 rounds, and you have to chant them without offense, and you have to chant them every day. You have to chant with love. You have to chant with feeling from the heart. Gradually, the heart becomes clean, and we will see our spiritual form. We will know who we are. But Krishna does not reveal himself unless you chant properly with faith. This is another point from the Bhakti Sandarbha, also quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Simply by offenselessly chanting the holy name of Krishna once, a person is relieved from all the reactions of a sinful life. One can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply by chanting the holy name. Purport Prabhupada writes, out of the 9 processes of devotional service, kirtan is very important. The other processes should be executed, but they must be preceded and followed by kirtan. So what's more important, Shravanam or Kirtan? Advaita Chandra.
I think Shravanam, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, you think Shravanam? What do you think, Gita Indulekha?
Maharaj,
What's more?
the process that Hare Krishna Maharaj, the process started with Shravanam. Actually, we think Shravanam, but here it is written. Here you're told that of the 9 processes, Kirtan is the very important.
Yes. What about Dhritatma? Dhritatma Prabhu, what's more important, Shravanam or Kirtan? Yeah, you got some hands up. Okay. Who? Okay, Jyoti Radha Mataji, what's more important?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I think both the processes are very important. Kirtan is important, but if we don't do the Shravanam, we may be getting to the and don't have the philosophical knowledge. We are getting emotional and not on the right path. Maybe that's the reason both the processes are equally important.
Okay. All right. Anyway, at least in the beginning, Shravanam is very important because you have to hear in the beginning. Right? You have to hear, first of all. If we don't hear, then we can't chant. We cannot do kirtan unless we've heard. So first of all comes Shravan, but kirtan is certainly very important because when the kirtan is done properly, then within the kirtan, there is also Shravanam and there is also Smaranam. When kirtan is performed properly with the proper mood and mind control, then within that chanting, there is also hearing and there is also remembering. Therefore, kirtan is considered to be very, very powerful, very important. And Prabhupada, of course, he's mentioning here, he said, other processes like the deity worship, the classes and so on, should be preceded and followed by kirtan. So we always try, when we do programs, especially outside programs, we'll do some kirtan, a little talk, and then more kirtan. Because the holy name is very powerful. Give people the holy name, let them hear. And that helps them so much to appreciate Krishna consciousness. I saw Prabhupada one time in London. Prabhupada was preaching. This young man came and Prabhupada was preaching to him. And the man was arguing. And Prabhupada kept arguing. Prabhupada kept defeating his argument and giving another argument. Still the man would argue. The man kept arguing, wouldn't admit defeat. Now Prabhupada just preached to him, just to show us how to preach. He knew the man wasn't too serious, but Prabhupada kept preaching, giving nice examples, because the devotees were all listening and hearing Prabhupada preach. So Prabhupada was speaking for the pleasure of the devotees. So then Prabhupada went off for his morning walk. He went off, the devotees all went with him. But the young man, he stayed at the temple. And when Prabhupada came back to the temple an hour later, he saw the young man was there in the temple room. And he was joining in the kirtan. The kirtan was going on in the temple room. And the man was in the temple room dancing and chanting. And Prabhupada noticed, and Prabhupada said, see, He said, all my preaching, it didn't help him. It didn't make any effect. But the kirtan, that brought him, that changed his heart. He said, so this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. Very powerful. You give the holy name, let everybody join the kirtan as soon as possible. Just talking philosophy and so on, that's not so effective. But kirtan, very powerful, can purify the heart for the conditioned souls. Okay, going ahead. Taramaje Sarva Shrestha. Of the 9 processes of devotional service, the most important is to always chant the holy name of the Lord. If one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, one very easily obtains the most valuable love of Godhead. Chaitanya Charitamrita Anchalila, chapter 4, text 71. Right? The most powerful, most important, to chant the holy name of the Lord. And one very easily obtains the most valuable love of God. So, we ask, please explain the analogy of nescience compared to the disease called jaundice. Who can answer this question? Ratan Singha.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So Rupa Goswami explains that how a patient, if he is inflicted with the disease of jaundice, he cannot properly taste the sweetness. So similarly, a person, ordinary person like us, who are in,
he cannot taste the sweetness of what?
A person like who is in jaundice, he cannot taste any kind of sweetness like of sugar cane. So similarly, a person inflicted with Bhava cannot find taste in chanting the holy names.
What is this Bhava Roga? What are you talking about?
Bhava means, Maharaj, that we have forgotten Krishna and we are wasting our time in Maya.
Is that the analogy?
Maharaj, the analogy is that the patient having jaundice cannot taste sweetness. Similarly, the person who is inflicted with this Bhava Roga cannot taste the sweetness of the holy names, but he keeps on chanting, then automatically this Bhava Roga will be cured. Similar to that, like if a patient of jaundice, he keeps on taking the sugarcane juice, in due course of time, his disease will be cured and he can taste the sweetness again. So similarly, we can also taste the sweetness of holy names if we just keep on chanting.
So, when the diseased person takes the sugar candy, how does it taste?
It tasted bitter, Maharaj.
So, when the person was this Bhava Rog, when he's chanting, how does it taste? How does the holy name taste?
He does not find any kind of taste in holy name. It seems like this is a very boring process, and he does not like chanting at all.
So you say he doesn't like it, it tastes boring, but you still want him to do it?
Can you repeat, Maharaj?
I'm saying that the person, you said the person finds it boring and he doesn't have any taste, but you still want him to do it?
Yeah, if he keeps on doing, then in due course he will be cured. But if he leaves, then the disease will not be cured and he cannot attain taste for chanting.
So the taste for chanting has to come for everyone? Is it going to come for everyone?
If someone is endeavoring sincerely, following the instructions of Guru, then it is surely to come, Maharaj.
But for some people, it's going to come easy, and for some other people, it may take a long time.
Yes, Maharaj, depending on how intense their sadhana is and how they are endeavoring.
So why do some people not have a taste for the holy name?
Because Maharaj, they are having so much material desires and attachment for these material enjoyments. Like Krishna says, Bhogai Sarya Prasaktanam Tayapahita Chetasam Avasatmika Buddhi Samadhona Vidiyate.
So they have a lot of material desires.
Yes,
So
Maharaj.
how did they get rid of the material desires?
By chanting more and associating with the devotees, so their material desires will be converted into spiritual ones.
Okay, so here's the verse. Very nice verse. Shri Krishna Nam Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Nirotikam Kinvadavad Anudinam Kalo Saiva Jatva Vadve Kramad Bhavati Tagadamulahantri. Right. Pastimes of Lord Krishna, the holy name, character, pastimes and activities of Krishna are all transcendentally sweet, like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful. Simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. So Rupa Goswami is describing the power of the holy name. From Prabhupada's purport, again going back to text number 5, if one chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses, he can certainly be gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. One should know for certain that without chanting the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, one cannot be a proper candidate for advancement in Krishna consciousness. So very important point. We want to come to that level to know there's no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. That is a stage of bhava, devotional service and ecstasy. So to come to that level, we have to get rid of all the anarthas, and we have to give up offensive chanting. If we're chanting with offenses, then we cannot make advancement in Krishna. And what's the most common offense? Inattention. Inattention while chanting. Chanting without a proper attention. The mind wanders, we're thinking other things. We have to always control the mind. So how to overcome this inattentive chanting? More chanting. Do more chanting. It's the best way to make advancement. How can we chant without offenses? I said, more. Anybody else would like to say? How can we chant without offenses? Any hands up? Yeah, who would like to volunteer? Dhritatma Prabhu. How can we chant without offenses?
dengan cara fokus kepada nama suci Tuhan, mendengarkan nama Krishna, kemudian dengan fokus demikian kita bisa
listening to the chanting of the holy name. Okay.
Poinnya adalah fokus mendengarkan nama suci Krishna dengan penuh perhatian.
So you have to chant loud, right? Loud chanting will be helpful to give more attention. When we chant aloud, if we chant in the mind, difficult to control. Okay. So the anarthas, they cover the holy name. That's the problem. Just like clouds cover the sun. So the same way, the anarthas cover the sun of the holy name. So only a portion of the effect of the name is there. We have to overcome the anarthas. So serious student takes shelter of a guru, bona fide guru, by force of his effective spiritual practices. He can remove the obstructions blocking the sun of the holy name. And then when the clouds and the mist go away, the sun of the name becomes visible and gives devotion, the treasure of love of God. So the guru helps to remove the obstructions, taking the association of the guru, the guidance of the guru. Remember, we showed this diagram in the beginning. At the bottom, the Duratma, and at the top, we have the Mahatmas. The left side is Bahiranga Shakti, and the right side is Antaranga Shakti. The bottom, the urges, uncontrolled urges, causing us to do unfavorable activities, and putting us in the mode of passion and ignorance. But as you come up, we perform the 6 favorable activities, and we avoid the unfavorable activities, and the urges are controlled. Then we come to the mode of goodness. We become Mahatmas. So we say, you have to come up. You have to promote ourselves to the platform of goodness, Sattva Gun, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. And then everything about how to make future progress will be revealed. So we're Rupanugas, we're following Rupa Goswami. So to improve our chanting, we have to get rid of the 4 causes of unwanted habits. The 4 causes of the unwanted habits. First of all, offenses. Then material desires. Then weakness of the heart. And finally, the ignorance of spiritual truth. Right? These are the 4 different kinds of anarthas, which we want to get rid of so we can chant the holy name nicely. Bhakti is Klesh Agni, produces Anartha Nivritti. So perseverance in Bhakti, along with avoiding the unfavorable and following the favorable, will help to destroy anarthas. You can see Rupa Goswami has given us good instruction how to destroy, get rid of the anarthas. We follow his teachings here. Transcendental knowledge by studying Shastra, hearing from advanced devotees, overcomes ignorance of spiritual truth. You can see everything in our Krishna conscious program. If we follow it, will help us to get rid of the anartha. Hearing from the advanced devotees will get rid of our ignorance. There's a table here to show the stages of removing the anarthas. Right? You can see we get rid of the offenses at different levels. At the stage of Nishtha, it's complete. But then above Nishtha is Ruchi. And then it's absolute. Devotion is absolute. Somebody's doing just sinful or pious activities, then it's different. He gets rid of it at the stage of asakti. And somebody's an offensive chanter, when he gets shelter at the lotus feet, then it's absolute. So different stages to remove the anarthas. So I was saying about inattention in chanting. This is the quote from Harinam Chintamani. Pramada, madness, meaning is inattention or carelessness. And from this offense, all other offenses spring. So we must try to chant with proper care and attention, controlling the senses, avoiding bad association, taking good association. Very important for being attentive. You see, the nectar of instruction gives us so much important knowledge right in the first 3-4 verses to help us to get rid of all the anarthas, all the bad things in our chanting. So the inattentiveness is described in 3 different ways: apathy, inactivity, and distraction. Apathy means you couldn't care less. You don't think it's very important. Inactivity, you don't do anything. You don't want to do it at all. And distraction, you've got your mobile phone, you've got your television, you've got some other things, you're watching other people, like that. So 3 types of inattention. So until one gets free from these 3 types of inattention, we cannot perform devotional service at all. Even if one gives up all other namaparats, he's still inattentive. If he's still inattentive, he can never have attraction for the holy name. If one has enthusiasm in the beginning of devotional service, and that enthusiasm does not become cold, then one will never become apathetic, lazy, or distracted in chanting the holy name. That's the challenge. We have to keep our enthusiasm. People often have enthusiasm in the beginning, but they become cold. They lose it. So it's important to keep our enthusiasm. Don't lose, and we should try even to increase our enthusiasm, become more enthusiastic as we go on. And Prabhupada gave this advice about chanting. He said, just like crying for a child crying for his mother, we should chant like that. When we're calling the Lord's name, we're the child and we're calling for our guardian, our parent. So Prabhupada translates the Maha Mantra like this: O my Lord, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Srila Prabhupada said, practice makes perfect, even in spiritual life. So the more we practice chanting, the more we become perfect in chanting. And he said of himself, probably to encourage us, that it took him 30 years to be able to chant the way he was chanting when we met him. So we should be patient also, but determined and enthusiastic. Have you been chanting for 30 years yet? Even we may chant 300 years, we may not get to be like Prabhupada. There's no guarantee. It's not just chant 30 years. We have to really want, we have to be determined, enthusiastic, very important. So advancing, to go on, by devotional service, one is elevated to the transcendental planet, Goloka Vrindavan. And there also, there is only devotional service. The activities of devotional service in this world and in the spiritual world are one and the same. Devotional service does not change. The example of a mango can be given here. If one gets an unripe mango, it's still a mango. And when it is ripe, it remains the same mango, but it has become more sweet, more ripe, right? It's become more sweet. We lost that. And so in conclusion, Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaiti katita hyata prakashanti mahatmana. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right. So now we'll come and take some questions. Yes, let's have the questions.
Haribol. Haribol.
I chant the holy name because I enjoy it.
Haribol.
The holy names because Krishna will be pleased to chant, even if I don't get a taste to chant.
So someone is asking, which mode is better? Is to chant the holy name, even if I don't get a taste? Oh, I'm chanting the holy name because I enjoy it. But on the other hand, I may chant the holy name even I don't enjoy it, I don't have taste, but because Krishna wants me to chant. So which is better? Well, it's certainly better you chant the holy name because you like to chant the holy name. you won't take pleasure in chanting the holy name. That's certainly preferred. You chant the holy name because Krishna wants you to do it. You may chant grudgingly. The mood of devotion will not be there. It will be mechanical chanting. But if you chant because you like the holy name, because you take pleasure, then your chanting will have more feeling, more love, it will be more connected to Krishna. Some appreciation for the holy name and calling to Krishna. But if you're just simply chanting out of obedience, it won't have the same mood. So it's better you chant with pleasure, that you have a taste, you like to chant.
Next question. Is Uttama Bhakta Deva Bhakta or are they different?
Tidak mengejar jumlah.
Next question is Uttama Bhakta, being an Uttama Bhakta, is it equal to Prema Bhakta? Or are they different? No, they're not different. Uttama Bhakta means also Prema Bhakta.
The last question. Level for preaching, which is considered to be the best service to God. So how can he be considered to be a Madhyam devotee because he is doing the great service? Also, when he starts preaching, his faith and knowledge does not decrease. So how can he be considered a Madhyam devotee?
When a Mahabhagavat starts preaching, his faith
becomes to the Madhyam level, but his faith and knowledge remain the same. So how is he considered?
All right, so devotee is asking this question that someone's on the platform of Uttama Adhikari, right? But he's going for preaching. So how is it he's considered a Madhyama Adhikari? Because his faith and knowledge will still be the same. He's Uttama Adhikari, he's got the best, the strongest faith and the most complete knowledge, but he comes down to the Madhyama platform to go for preaching. He's not a Madhyama Adhikari, he's an Uttama Adhikari because he brought his faith and knowledge with him. Yes, it's true, but the point is that the Uttama Adhikari, usually his business is not to preach. Someone's an Uttama Adhikari, their business is to chant the holy name. They will just do their bhajan. They're bhajananandis. They're not Ghostavanandis. Ghostavanandi is a preacher, but they're bhajananandis. On the platform, they simply chant. They simply take pleasure in chanting the holy name. They don't do anything. They don't go anywhere for preaching. They're not going out. People, they're simply staying in the holy dham, usually in the holy dham, and they're chanting the holy name. That is the business of the Uttama. That's how Uttama Adhikari would be active. They simply sit and chant. Now, there was one devotee, Prabhupada told him his business was just to sit and chant. He was a Babaji. Prabhupada had given him Babaji initiation. He said, your business is just to chant. You just sit and chant. He had some disease, at least they thought he had some disease and he was dying. And so Prabhupada said, okay, you sit here and you chant. After some time, he found out he didn't have the disease, he wasn't going to die. So he gave up chanting and went off back into Maya. But anyway, the point is, on the topmost platform, Uttama, he won't preach. But he's coming down to he's going for preaching, so he's becoming a Madhyam. Of course, he has strong faith and knowledge. He brought his faith and knowledge with him. But he's doing the activity of the Madhyam. And as the Madhyam also is making distinction. It's giving Krishna consciousness to the ignorant, and he's avoiding the atheists and the blasphemers. He makes distinction. That's the Madhyama platform. When you make distinction, Uttama on the topmost platform, it doesn't make any distinction.
There are some hands, I think, with questions.
Okay. Yes.
Does he have a question?
Sadananda Prabhu, you have your hand up. You have a question or a comment? Sadananda Prabhu.
No, Maharaj, sorry. I had raised my hand for the previous thing. I forgot to put it down. Sorry.
Okay, Dean Vatsal Prabhu just raised it.
Dean Vatsal Prabhu just put his hand up. You have something? A comment or a question?
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Saya punya pertanyaan, Prabu. Bagaimana caranya meningkatkan keyakinan kita kepada pengucapan nama suci Tuhan? Karena kadang-kadang keyakinan itu bisa saja lagi lagi kurang seperti itu. Lagi kita semangat lagi mengucapkan nama suci Tuhan seperti itu.
We get fixed in our chanting of the holy name by faithfully, regularly, offenselessly chanting the holy name. When you regularly chant, you make it a daily program every morning that you get up early and you go and you chant 16 rounds at least. That's how you get your faith. You get the taste by the chanting. Just like we were quoting that verse about the man with jaundice. He couldn't taste the sweetness in the beginning, but he kept drinking it. Gradually it became sweet. The same way the chanting of the holy name. We don't taste it because our jaundice, because we have materialism, the jaundice of materialism covering our consciousness. But the more we chant and associate with the holy name, then the more we will taste the sweetness of the holy name. We want to experience, we want to develop that faith in the holy name. It comes. You have to do that. Follow the process. As you follow the process, you will see, you will feel it working. That as we go on in Krishna consciousness, we lose our interest in material sense gratification. The thoughts of material activities becomes disgusting to us. We just have no attraction anymore for enjoying the material world. The thoughts go away because we're so busy in Krishna consciousness. We don't even think about other things. So that faith comes just by following the process. Just keep ourselves always busy in Krishna service. And naturally, the taste awakens. We said love of Krishna is in everyone's heart. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Shadya Kabunai. Right? We have to hear about Krishna. You hear regularly, the love for Krishna awakens. And the first part of the question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Gita Indoleka Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, like we are given for this 5 analogies, and what they all the others have, I can understand the shlok, but I can't understand the shlok of a newly married girl naturally expects offerings. Is there a shlok also connected with that? Like the other analogies have a shlok in the shastras, they all have shloks, but this one I can't understand. Is there any shlok also of this analogy?
I've never heard any sloka, but Prabhupada gives that example in relation to enthusiasm and confidence.
Yes.
In describing enthusiasm and confidence, Prabhupada gives that example, but I don't know any sloka.
Okay. And Maharaj, in related to this, the the line given in the last is it's please explain in detail about the confidence related to this analogy also.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Please explain in detail, Maharaj, the this analogy in related to confidence. Like I have understood the analogy, but in it's said in devotional service, surrenders means one has to become confident. So in relation to this analogy, confidence, please explain. If you can.
Well, confidence in the sense that the wife has confidence in her husband, that her husband can impregnate her and that she can conceive a child. Right? She has to have confidence like that. She puts her trust in the husband, that the husband can transfer a child into the womb of his wife. So that confidence is there. She's ready to surrender to the husband and to accept the husband so that she can carry his child and develop his child in her womb. So she has confidence. You know, she married the man. She has confidence in him that he's trustworthy, that he's a good man, he'll make a good father, he'll give her a good child. That's how I understand it. All right, any other questions? Bankim Govinda Prabhu.
Krishna Maharaj, Dandaprana Maharaj. Maharaj, in the previous verse, in one of the verses, you were mentioning about association, where you mentioned that association is required up to 95% to advance in our devotional service.
Yes, association, very important.
Yeah, so how do we understand Maharaj? I mean, I'm hearing some lectures where they say chanting is
65% dan kemudian bakti.
is what is required up to 99%. Any other process.
95% kemajuan dalam bakti itu melalui pergaulan.
I'm sorry, Prabhu, you said we need association and chanting as well. So you want to know which is more important, chanting or association?
Exactly, Maharaj, exactly.
Yeah, we need to chant. Well, the point is, if we have proper association, in proper association, we will chant. You get the association of devotees, serious devotees, they're also going to chant. So it follows. In the association of devotees, we'll be inspired to chant. And our chanting will become more powerful. It's very, very inspiring to have association with devotees. And the inspiration, we become enthusiastic and eager to chant the holy name. Devotees come together, they may have kirtan, or they may just chant japa. They may just sit and chant japa together. In the morning, usually we'll chant japa. We come together every morning, we will sit together in the temple room and chant in the mornings. It's very nice association to sit there and chant with other devotees. So the two, it's not that you would have one without the other. If you have association, there will be chanting of the holy name. Of course, we could chant the holy name on our own. Haridas Thakur was chanting the holy name alone. He liked to chant alone. One is more advanced. Then he simply takes shelter of the holy name on his own. That's enough. One time I remember Srila Prabhupada had us come and take a picture of him. He was in the New York temple. It was in the old Brooklyn temple. And Prabhupada had his picture taken sitting beside the Tulsi tree. They had a nice Tulsi tree there. And Prabhupada sat beside the Tulsi tree and chanted. And Prabhupada told us, he said, this is all we need. Tulsi, and the holy name. So the holy name is very, very important. And that's also association. The holy name is Krishna, right? As we advance, we'll know the holy name is not different from Krishna. So in the chanting of the holy name, we have the opportunity to associate with Lord Krishna in his holy name.
Thank you, Maharaj.
After being initiated, if the spiritual master is not present, after taking initiation, after that spiritual master, is it enough to read Srila Prabhupada's books, or do we need to take shelter of another spiritual master or guide?
All right, here's a practical question. Someone asks that after initiation, the spiritual master may leave the body. So after he departs from the world, do we still need to get association with a senior devotee to guide us? Or is it sufficient for us just to read Prabhupada's books? Well, it will depend on the individual. For some people, it may be enough for them just to read Prabhupada's books. They may get everything is there in the books. You just simply read Prabhupada's books and they can give you perfect Krishna consciousness, there's no doubt. However, you may not be strong enough to get everything from the books. And in the association of devotees, then it can be very, very helpful. It's certainly very much recommended to take advantage of the association of a senior devotee or other senior devotees. And in their association to study and relish Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada was asked, is it enough just to read the books? Prabhupada said, more important than reading the books is discussing the books and explaining them to others. So if you're going to do that, that's very good. In the absence of your spiritual master, you can take up the mission of your spiritual master and preach Krishna consciousness and get people together and study Prabhupada's books together and discuss them and explain them to each other. That is a very good activity. That is a very good use of your time. If you do like that, then, all right, very nice. But, when we read Prabhupada's books, I don't know, but I get more questions as I read Prabhupada's books than I ever had when I was a new devotee. When I read the books in the beginning, I thought I understood everything. But now the more I read, the more I realize there's so many things I don't understand. And it's very nice to have other devotees to be able to discuss the points which you have questions about. You read the books, you should have questions. It's not that it's so you can understand everything. You will read the books naturally. There will be some questions you'll want to understand. You want to know what is actually the meaning. And so that's why you need association. That's why it's good to have association with other devotees, that they can help us to answer the different questions which we have, which come up as we read the books. Or you're preaching with people, you may be discussing with, they may have questions, they may raise points you cannot answer. And it's good to hear from other people. So association is always recommended. Yes?
Next question. Maybe we are over time, we should wait for close time.
Yeah.
We have Advait Chandra. Yes. We have a question, I believe.
Advait Chandra has a question.
Yes, Maharaj. I'm sorry. I just want to confirm about how can we chant without offense. I have an answer. Is this correct or not? Please, Maharaj, check. So based on the Siksastaka, if we chant the holy name with the proper mode, with humble mood, and we ready to give respect to everyone, and we do not hope to everyone give respect to us. So based on that, we can chant without offense. Is that correct or not, Maharaj?
Yes, Lord Chaitanya says like that in the Shikshastikam. He said we should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, offer all and offer all respects to others, and not be eager for respect for ourselves. Right? One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So if you can chant in that mood, very good. Yes, you chant. You can chant constantly. You can chant more incessantly. Very nice.
Thank you.
The ego should be like the ego of our soul, about the size of our soul. Our soul is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. So our spiritual dimension is very small. So our ego should also be very small. Our ego should not be big. You know, you may be a big, tall man, but don't make your ego big. Keep the ego small. Be simple. Don't create problems. Just be humble, offer respects to others, and chant the holy name.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Ananta Vijay Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yes, I have one question. That just Maharaj tell us that even Prabhupada in the beginning, my Kanishta, and gradually promote to the stage of Uttama by process. But in the other hand, that I heard one class that there are two types of soul. One is Nityavada and another is Nityasiddha. That in that class, that Prabhupada was included in Nityasiddha Jiva Maharaj. What is I little bit confused. I'm sorry,
Right.
Maharaj.
So Nityasiddha means the liberated souls in the spiritual world. Right? They've already gone back to Godhead. They're in the spiritual world. They have spiritual bodies. So they're Nityasiddha, they're perfect. Siddha means perfect. We're sadhakas, we're not perfect. We're doing sadhaka to become perfect, to become siddha. But the siddha, he's perfect. He's a liberated soul, and he's living in the spiritual world. And the Nityabada is the conditioned soul. We're eternally conditioned souls. Eternal in the sense that we've been here a long time. But we can change. The conditioned soul can become a liberated soul. The Nityabada soul can become a Nityasiddha soul by devotion, by hearing and chanting and cultivating devotion for Krishna, by the blessings of the devotees. The Nityabada can become Nityasiddha. So, yes?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Can you understand the Nityasiddha, Nityabada? It's not related to Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama.
Yes, ma'am. But Prabhupada is Nityasiddha.
Yeah. Prabhupada's Nityasiddha.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj.
Yes. Ananta Pandit Prabhu.
Nandhat Maharaj, I have question. Maharaj tadi menyampaikan mengutip dari Sila Guru Binda Maharaj bahwa kita ISKCON ini membuat sekolah menangis gitu. Nah, di satu sisi kita mendengar dari Srimad Bhagavad Gita juga bahwa proses Krishna ini adalah proses yang dilakukan dengan susukam kartum aweyam. Bahkan beberapa Prabhupada, kutipan Prabhupada juga mengatakan bahwa chant and be happy. Artinya proses ini seperti pesta juga atau pesta, kebanyakan pesta gitu. Bagaimana kita konteksnya dengan sekolah menangis, atau kita ingin harus bisa menangis untuk Krishna gitu. Haribol? Prabhu Bala? Hare Krishna.
Yes, we have to understand the crying, that this crying is ecstasy, tears of ecstasy. Just like when the devotees feels this separation from Krishna, it's ecstasy. It's not material, it's spiritual. The crying, you see, you're thinking of the crying in some material way. The material world, when we cry because, you know, something unpleasant happened to us. But this crying in the spirit, the crying of the devotee is spiritual, that we're crying due to love of Krishna. Because of the intense feelings for Krishna, the feelings of love for Krishna are so intense, bringing tears to the eyes. Is it all right? Can you understand? And you can read, and you know, in Shikshastikam is described, Almighty Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant the holy name? So when we chant the holy name, the tears of love, when like, you know, this is the stage of ecstasy, really, where tears are coming from the eyes because of the very strong desire, the eagerness to be with Krishna, to meet with Krishna. The devotee has that strong feeling, oh, when is Krishna coming? When will I be with Krishna? Longing, ardent longing. The devotee was, Upendra, Prabhupada's servant, was speaking one time, just after Prabhupada left the world, and he was describing how Prabhupada asked him, what do you think of the chant? What do you think? We were playing Prabhupada's recording of Kirtan, and Prabhupada asked Upendra, what do you think? And Upendra said, he said, I think it's very longing. There's a lot of longing there in Prabhupada singing. And Prabhupada liked that. I said, yes, that's right, longing. Longing for Krishna, to be with Krishna, and feeling the separation from Krishna, thinking, when will Krishna come? So that separation, that is ecstasy. That is not material. That is spiritual ecstasy. What appears to be material suffering is the highest ecstasy in the spiritual world. on the spiritual plane. Is it clear? You can understand?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, you're right. The devotional service is joyful. And that feeling of separation from Krishna, that is also, that is the highest ecstasy. The devotee feels so much love for Krishna, absorption in Krishna. Because we're conditioned souls, because we're Nityabada, it's difficult for us to appreciate. So you were saying, Prabhupada's Nityasiddha. Yeah, Nityasiddha, but he's coming to the material world, right? He's coming into the material world. Usually in Nityasiddhas, a few like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Goswami, they were Nityasiddhas. They come from the spiritual world. They come to take part in the pastimes of the Lord. But while they're here in the material world, they're playing the part like they're Nityabada.
Oh, really clear, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
All right, we'll stop here now. It's getting late. Thank you for all your questions. And we'll continue tomorrow night. Please look over text number 8. Huh? Look over text
Thank you,
number 8.
Maharaj.
Okay, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Very nice lecture, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you
Dandavat
so
pranam,
much.
Maharaj.
Pranam. Vacha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patinaam pavanebhyo.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Jai.